Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman miniature game, 3rd edition battle report. Today for you we have a 350 rep game between a Bat Family team and the new and improved League of Assassins. Well, not the crew themselves, but Raish and Ubu have been updated in the Batman app with some brand new rules. So we're going to be trying those out today on the same table layout as last time, and we'll see how they do. Without further ado, let's take a look at the two crews. So here is the 5 miniatures making up the Batman team, as my dog just knocks into my knee, apologies. Being led by the new Rebirth Nightwing, who is very, very good, although he will have to watch himself because the opponents this time are quite strong. But he is leading the crew and has been given an extra magazine to have more batarangs and some handcuffs. As far as upgrades go, we also have Damien behind him, who has handcuffs as his upgrade. Red Hood, the Rebirth Red Hood, he has the reconnaissance upgrade, so he'll be undercover when the match starts. And last but not least, we have two new models on the table. We have the new classic costume Batgirl. She comes with a really good array of equipment pre-installed on her. Batcape, Batclaw, radio, handcuffs for the arrest rule. She has the one of the boys rules, which means in a normal crew, which doesn't super apply here, but if she was in a Batman crew, she'd be treated as a henchman regarding Inspire. So she's all in all really good. We'll see how she does in the match today. And then we have the new Alfred, who was the Black Friday exclusive Alfred from the most recent Black Friday sale. He is an Intel support Alfred, so he will be walking around the table, but it's actually just where, from the Batcave, he's paying attention. He can absorb friendly suspect markers to give buffs to Bat Family people. He's actually Bat Family affiliated. If you want him in a normal crew, you have to have Bruce Wayne. That's the stipulation. But in Bat Family, you don't need Bruce Wayne. So we'll see how it goes. Remember, this is also the Nightwing that has Shadowed Nightmare or whatever it's called, so he will not start on the table. He appears within 8 of a suspect marker when it's placed, and he can have Audacity given to him even when he's not on the table. I think that about covers everything for them. They are vastly outnumbered compared to the League of Assassins. Let's go take a look at them. So here is the 9 models in the League of Assassins crew. We're going to quickly go over the roster because we have to talk about what's changed for Raish and Ubu. So we have those two, obviously. Then we have Acolytes 1, 2, 3 and 4. The one with the Falcon has been given the Trained in the Shadows upgrade, so he has hidden and will be deploying somewhere on the map to give him a vantage point to use that excellent skill of his. And then we have Assassins 1 and 3. One with a Poison Scimitar, the other one with Throwing Blades. And then just to make up the points, and also to give Raish someone to bodyguard because Ubu's not going to be next to him, we have Thug 6 from the Back to Gotham box. So what's changed about these two? Raish has been given a new rule. It's a special action called Shadow Operatives, I think. I might be forgetting the new rule offhand, apologies. But what it does is, he selects a friendly unit within 8, I think it is, and then they are teleported to a friendly suspect marker of your choice. The suspect marker is removed, and then they can initiate an attack. And if it's a close combat attack, they have a threat radius of 4 inches instead of base to base, which is very interesting in setting up those attacks. The League deck isn't super focused on murder, which I know is a little bit weird, but it's just the way it is. That's more a Court of Owls thing, which they'd be great with a role similar to that to set up prey kills. But that's what Raish has got now. He also has the Pure Lazarus upgrade to give him regeneration for this match. But then we have Ubu. And Ubu, well, first of all, he's been given the Chain of Command role via Precise Orders, I think it's called, which is just Hidden Boss by a different name. But his base roles, he's now been upgraded to have the Lieutenant role, and in brackets, Ra's al Ghul. So in any crew he has taken where there is a Ra's al Ghul present, he does the same thing as Alexander Kusalov, or Kusalov, whatever that lady's called from the Black Mask crew. He also creates an Inspire bubble, which is very interesting. So they can be separated, which is a little bit weird because he's Raish's bodyguard, so why would they separate? But the rules now give them a reason to be starting separate from each other because they can create a nice little all-encompassing Inspire bubble for all their henchmen. So we'll see how that goes today, and with that we'll get both crews set up, cover Phase 1, Phase 2 of Battle Round 1. So we are all set up and good to go. The League of Assassins are deployed to your left and the Bat Family are deployed on the right, although Nightwing is not on the table. He does have Audacity, just for the record though. We have some cards to cover for both crews for Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the round, but it is the Bat Family who will be taking first activation insofar as they won the role, but they're not going to be actually activating. They're going to be making liberal use of, let's see, well, by default they've got 5 versus 9, so they've got 4 passes standard, and they've got 1 from Batgirl as well, I believe, or Nightwing. One of the two of them have Searcher, so there'll be 1 extra pass on activation there as well. The League is playing a turn 1 Die Hard. Should be a pretty easy score in Battle Round 1 for 2 victory points. It's being played on Ubu, because he's pretty tough, but the Bat family, sorry, as I stretch across here, they're also playing their Die Hard, and they are playing it on Damien. Now, there's nothing stopping you playing that on an Intel support character at present, but it feels like that shouldn't be allowed, so that's why we're not doing it here. The other card being played is the Phase 2. They are playing Unveiling the Truth, and presumably it's allowed to be played on Nightwing, even though he's technically not on the table currently, and he does fall into the criteria because he is a sidekick. It's free agent, sidekicks, or someone who has detective. So that's being played on him as well, and we can quickly look where everyone is. So Damien is up there on the building with cover. Alfred, well, the representation of where he's currently looking is just right there without Audacity. Red Hood, he didn't really make that much use of undercover. He came forward a little bit from deployment using the wall there for cover. Batgirl did deploy here, but before the game starts, she's got Scout, so she can make a full move if she wants. She didn't use all of her 12 inches, but she moved behind this tree for cover here. For the League, they're mostly in a line. The one that bought the ability to be hidden, the Falconry Acolyte, it was a pretty tough decision where to put him. It would have been cool if it was up here in this building or whatnot, or like here for instance, because he has that massive like 16-inch threat bubble if he uses a special action where he doesn't need line of sight. But he couldn't get anywhere that was safe from Bat Claws letting the Bat family get to him. So at least if he's here, the 16 inches is still pretty threatening, and he has a lot of backup. But he does have Audacity, so he can make use of that falconry skill. Raish has it. This is the Assassin with the throwing knives, which is Assassin 3? Yeah, 3. Then the one with the poison scimitar is over here next to Ubu without, and Ubu himself does also have Audacity. So with that covered, we're jumping into Battle Round 1. As I say, it's almost certain the Bat family is using a pass, so we'll probably be back with someone from the League. So League Acolyte 2 got the game started. That's the one dual-wielding daggers. Without Audacity, but right next to Raish, he moved up most of his 10 inches or 11 inches, I forget if they're acrobats offhand. He put down a suspect marker using the free inspired manipulate, and did nothing else with his turn. Relatively close to where Batgirl is behind the tree, you can just about make out there, but again, they have a lot of backup on this side of the table here. Another pass was used by the Bat family, so stuck with the League. They activated League Acolyte 1, which is the one kind of like leaping with a sword. Also didn't have Audacity, so it was pretty much a snap copy activation for him. He moved up, he also put down a suspect marker just outside of 4 of his friend there who just went. The Bat family have to activate now, you can only do 2 passes in a row at most. So the Bat family decided to activate the new Batgirl first. I bet you all thought it would be Alfred first just because he didn't have Audacity, but that's wrong. Oh, that Alfred also has Searcher incidentally, and I believe at present Searchers still stack, as in you still get multiple extra passes until at least it's updated, similar to how, what's the other one called? The one that takes away resource points from the opponent. That used to not clarify that you can only use it once even if you have multiple characters with it, and people were abusing that lapse in language to make sure they're the only ones having fun. But it's been corrected now. I imagine Searcher, Informer, is that the one? I think it is. They're using Searcher, Informer is the resource point one, I believe. Anyway, Batgirl. She was behind that tree. She moved ever so slightly around the building. We're not going to get to see the full array of her toolbox right now, but she is scoring a card, and that's more important. She put down a suspect marker, and if we just come to bird's eye view here, she and it are within 8 of that acolyte there, so she's scoring a Soldiers of Fortune card, Black Ops, because remember, Bat Family is a team, not a crew, and as per the app updates, teams in general have a much wider variety of decks they can draw cards from. So she has scored that for 2, putting them on the board. Assassin 1 activated and made use of the new lieutenant role that Ubu has, meaning that he is inspired as if Raish was next to him, even though Raish is down the table over there. Oh, incidentally, Raish's new role is called Shadow's Command, not Operatives or whatever I called it. Anyway, they moved up, and using that inspired manipulate, put down another suspect marker just to keep ahead of the game. Yeah, another pass from the Bat Family, so League Acolyte 4 activated, which is the other one with the bow without the falcon, moved up and using that free inspired manipulate from Raish put down a suspect marker. Now that might mean that it's time for Nightwing to come in, but we'll see in a second. Yep, Nightwing decided it was time to strike, so that is where he's appeared, even though it was this hired goon that just activated. He can get placed within 8 inches of any suspect marker that's placed, and then any henchmen within 6 inches of him get enervating 1. He's opted to be in base to base with that henchman over there and the suspect marker they put down previously in the turn. I guess maybe he was hiding in the building here and leapt out the window down into the street. He has an audacity marker as previously mentioned, and he is the one who's going to activate next, so let's see what he can do. So you'll see that Nightwing has vanished, but he's left his mark. We'll cover what happened in his fairly lengthy turn. This Nightwing is so good. He has double stun, electric handy batons with combo. He unleashed them on the poor acolyte, who could at most effort twice, although it's double stun, so you don't really want to. And he didn't, but that didn't stop him taking, was it 6, 7, 8 stun damage. It would have been a crit as well to knock him over, but it doesn't matter because he is unconscious. Then he made use of his Vigilante's work rule, which means he takes 1 effort and can do a manipulate. And he wanted to reveal that suspect marker that he was there next to. However, do not deviate from the plan was played as a resource by the League. For 2, play when an enemy model performs a reveal action on a friendly suspect marker, cancel the action. Couldn't do it. Presumably you still take the effort though. So then, instead, he played Cyber Attack, another Soldiers of Fortune card. And he 2 got rolled, which became a 1, add on the 2, gets put up to a 3, put that on 2 enemy suspect markers, counts down on every subsequent, can't talk, subsequent activation, and when it hits 0 if those suspect markers are still there, score the card. So that's just a way for the Bat family to profit on whether or not those suspect markers are wanted and to remain. So it's been placed on that one and that one. Then, having only used his tactical action, he used a special action to use his Bat Claw and a movement action to zoom up here to the relative safety of the building up here, and that 1 stun is again from him using Vigilante's work. Last of the kind of filler activations for the League of Assassins, Thug 6 activated. He just moved up, didn't do anything with his inspired manipulate, and stayed within 4 inches of Raish just in case the bodyguard is required. Alfred activated and moved up, and he only moves 8 inches but doesn't really need much more than that with it being an intel support. He has a built-in radio, much like that new Batgirl, which is really handy, so he used that free inspired manipulate to put down his suspect marker, but not before, at the start of his activation, using the Birds of Prey card, I Work Best Alone, even though that couldn't be further from the truth when Alfred is concerned, but whatever. So that's on Alfred. Every time he puts down a suspect marker, put a number on this card. At the end of a turn, roll a die. If it matches any of the numbers, score it. And the first number going on this card for Alfred is a 3. So next up for the League was the Falconry Acolyte, and he did make use of his Falconry skill as a special action. So he gets range 16 inches without line of sight and cover, as long as the target is within 6 inches of a suspect marker, a friendly one that is. So he did shoot at Batgirl, who, as the crow flies, was within 6 of the suspect marker that had been there, removed it to get +1 attack dice, so essentially 2 normal dice and 1 strength die, rolled them against her. Only one of the normal dice got through for 2 blood, however because the strength die failed, Caustic kicks in and does 1 extra blood, so she took 3 and is poisoned because he fired his 1 poison arrow. And it always confuses me when a Batgirl doesn't have Acrobat, but she doesn't have Acrobat, so that's why she was shot at and not Nightwing, because he does have Acrobat. So she only has 6 health as well, so that's pretty nasty. She is hurting. So the Bat family used their pass granted to them from Alfred, so the last Assassin activated. Did have Audacity, didn't really need it. He moved up 10 inches and essentially replaced the suspect marker that had been removed in order to make that last play happen. And upon completion of his activation, those counters tick down to 0 and Cyber Attack has scored for the Bat family. So Red Hood activated next, and he did what he does best. He irritated plans. He dashed forwards. He has very quick movement, 12 base, +1 from Acrobat, although it's just built into his stats now, so 13 inches. He charged forwards. He could have actually gotten further. He could have stood on the suspect marker that was there and been in base to base with the Assassin. Opted not to do that and instead just revealed the suspect marker there, which definitely caused some annoyance for the League's plans. And, apologies as I reach over here, scores a comb through everything for revealing a suspect marker, an enemy suspect marker. So with that, we're over to either Ubu or Raish. So Ubu was the one of those two who activated, and he wanted to go after Red Hood, and he did so. Easily got into base to base with him with his 10 inches of movement, with his double blood, sharp, bleed 1, reach 2, I think. Scimitar, Not that it matters here because it's only sharp, but remember that if you have a Bat Family team, they're all immune to the handy rule, which is rerolls on normal hits because of the Boy Wonder rule that gets given to everybody. But not relevant here, just sharp. And Red Hood did well with his defense rolls. They both efforted a full 3 times each, which is why there's 2 sets of 3 stun damage. 1 hit got through for Ubu. It was just the strength die, but it was a crit, so the bleed 1 procced, giving a total of 3 blood damage to Red Hood of his 7 HP. So now it's over to Damien to end off the battle round for Bat Family. So Damien is an active acrobat, so he just hopped down off the building there, kept on running forwards, stayed out of the threat range of Raish, but within 8 that he could chuck some batarangs at this League Acolyte here. Didn't do well with the roll, honestly. Only 1 hit got through for 2 stun, but he wanted to make sure he was far enough back that even with reach on his sword, Raish couldn't reach him, because that would be very bad. And it is over to Raish to end off the turn. Well, there wasn't much for Raish to do this turn, so he did just kind of charge forwards. Not quite his full 10 inches, because he wanted to make sure he was just within 4 of his bodyguard, depending on how the first turn activation goes next turn. No cards played either, but Damien is in a little bit of a risky position there if he decides to stay there next turn. So at the end of battle round 1, the League Acolyte who is unconscious is staying unconscious. Unfortunately for him, he rolled a 10. So we have some cards to cover in play, but first of all we need to see whether or not I Work Best Alone scores for Alfred. So let's just quickly see what gets rolled. A 1, that means it stays in play but did not score. So the only post-turn card scoring for the Bat Family is their Die Hard card, because Damien was fine. Speaking of which, the Die Hard card for the League is their first scored card, because Ubu was also fine. They are scoring 1 phase 4 card. They were looking to score 2 for a total of 6 points, but didn't quite work out thanks to Red Hood. But they do still score on Eradicate the Order for having more suspect markers in play than enemy ones, because there's currently just 1 in play. So with that, everyone who's conscious has healed 1 stun damage. Let's jump into phase 1, phase 2 for battle round 2. So top of battle round 2, phase 1, phase 2 done. However, one little addition. I've got to do the poison check for Batgirl, and she failed it. So she's taken 1 more blood damage. She has 2 health left. It's a new model on the table syndrome again. But anyway, the Bat Family did take first activation, even though Raish is given +1 to the roll. Well, 1 doesn't beat a 6. So the Bat Family can go first, and they might this time, despite the number of passes, because there's a few people in risky positions for a couple of reasons. We can take a look at who has Audacity in a second, just to quickly cover. No phase 1, phase 2 cards being played by either side. Nightwing's got Audacity up here, Batgirl has Audacity, Damien has it, and Red Hood on the other side of the building has it. Alfred sadly does not, but he's got that radio to help him out. Down here, Raish has Audacity, the Assassin has Audacity, Ubu does, and so does the other Assassin. They're going to try and pick on Red Hood if he doesn't get out of there, and we'll see how that goes. So with that, let's jump into the first activation. So there was a lot of people that could have activated. It was Nightwing who went though, because he can dish out punishment and a half. He started up there in the building, he fell off, well he didn't fall off, he acrobated off the building with his prodigious movement to suffer no ill effects of doing so, and rushed forwards to take out the Falconry Acolyte. Apologies for the text messages, because he is a big threat. Again, double stun, combo, handy, electric batons. Got him for a casual 12 stun. There's no KO marker though, however, because then he's using his special action to arrest with the handcuffs he was purchased in order to score and get them off the streets, which is very reflective. You get them off the streets for 3 points. But that does mean, most likely, Red Hood or Damien are about to get punished for this action. So it was an interesting quandary for the League of Assassins, because they have cards to work towards scoring, but it doesn't involve inflicting pain on a crew that really feels every loss they suffer. So they wanted to get rid of someone, and it seemed like the most obvious option was Ubu activating and trying to finish off Red Hood over there. However, a correction from turn 1. Red Hood has a Kevlar vest, so he should have reduced damage taken by 1. So he actually only had 2 blood on him starting this battle we're about to cover, instead of 3. And that is very important because of how things ended up. They both efforted a full 3 times, so it was just standard dice against dice. Ubu got 3 hits through for 6 blood, however you see 4 there. That's because 1 gets taken away by the Kevlar vest, and Red Hood is also hardened, so he can switch the damage type of 1 hit received. So he's turning it into a stun, which means all in all, there's 4 and 4 there, and he's 2 and 2 on his card. So that means he is 6 and 6, and he is a 7/7 miniature. So he is alive on 1 health and 1 willpower. Ubu did not take him out. I also forgot to mention that Ubu tried to inspire fear in him before doing anything with a special action. Did not work. He's not going to try and move. One way or another, that fight's ending in some way. But yeah, thanks to remembering that Kevlar plus the hardened, Red Hood is on his feet barely. So we're stuck in a bit of a reactive loop now, but Red Hood had to activate, so he did, and you'll see he's obviously not there anymore. We'll cover where he ended up in a second. But he actually managed to get a double KO, which is pretty incredible. He used the crowbar on Ubu, managed to only get 2 hits through, but that was enough with the stun damage he's been inflicting upon himself that he is unconscious. He then used his one-shot gun and rolled a crit, which would normally mean it does 6 blood, which for the record would have killed the assassin outright. But Bat Family have the Bat Code rule, so all blood damage gets converted to stun, so double KO. During his turn, when it started, he tried to use They Must Know Pain as a resource to heal himself for 2 blood damage, but Raish used his Exhausted Planner to cancel it, so it just gets discarded. He then moved his 12 inches, or 13, sorry, but didn't use the full movement, down here using the car for cover, sign, etc., so that he's not in any immediate danger from the cluster of assassins over here. So obviously the tempting play for the League now would be to activate Raish and go murder Damien for absolutely no reason other than it's Damien. But they need to start scoring points. They're actually falling behind, and they shouldn't be, with how their deck usually functions. So League Acolyte 1 activated next to Raish, moved up without Audacity, revealed the suspect marker using the Inspired Manipulate from Raish, which in turn deals 1 damage to Alfred, because that's how Intel support characters take damage, and scored for 2 points the quick and easy for revealing an enemy suspect within 6 inches of your boss, which he did. Now that might give Damien time to run away, but if the front of the turn is front loaded with the Bat Family all activating, that means a bunch of assassins get to go in a row towards the end. Well, Damien did activate and he is gone, but he did not run away. He charged in, right down here in front of the car there, where there used to be a League Acolyte with 2 daggers, unconscious. Got into base to base with both him and the assassin there, used a special action to arrest the League Acolyte, who is now gone, and then used his double blood, although again back code means it's stun, so double stun katanas, handy sharp, and did another 12 stun damage. So he's now drawing with Nightwing for most stun damage in a single attack action, not to be outdone by his older adopted brother, or however they're classed these days. Anyway, for arresting the first League Acolyte, Damien has scored another get them off the streets for 3 victory points. Massive score there. Their hand currently is very get them off the streets heavy, or was, not anymore. So he's knocked out another target, arrested 1, obviously still very much in danger, but considered it to be worth it for the points. So Raish has had quite enough of his grandson doing things without his permission, so he got into base to base with Damien, and as you'll see, the young heir is no longer there. There isn't even any damage there, and that's because, well, first of all, they did effort 3 times, but Raish activated Deadly Strike, and the strength die was a crit, which means it immediately inflicts casualty, and there's nothing you can do about it because Damien doesn't have bat armor, so he's just dead. And then independent of that, Raish, during his turn, played multiple threats. Now, rather than having to put down numeric counters, there's currently 3, so if a 1, 2, or a 3 gets rolled at the end of the turn, essentially, this card will score for 3. Alfred activated without Audacity, moved forward his 8 inches, well, I don't actually think he used his full 8, but he moved to the suspect marker that had been there, and then using his radio, used his free manipulate to remove it. So now it's a 2 or a 3 that has to be rolled for multiple threats to score, because it was 1, 2, 3. In doing so, he scored a comb through everything. Does that make up for the loss of Damian Wayne? Some might say yes. Well, in a tit-for-tat play, Thug 6 activated without Audacity, but obviously right next to Raish because he's being his bodyguard, walked on over to the stairs of the building there and put down another suspect marker, more or less where it was, but slightly out of place so that Alfred isn't in base to base with it when he starts his activation. So the Bat Family have been sitting on many passes, and they finally decided to use one, meaning we're actually on to the last activation of Battle Round 2 for the League, thanks to all those KOs that have been happening. If Talia was the leader, it would have been excellent in this situation because they'd all just automatically wake up on turn change. But anyway, the last person to go was this bull-wielding League Acolyte. Stayed where he was and decided, just knowing it was technically futile, shoot some standard arrows into Nightwing, who efforted twice to dodge away the arrows. So no damage, but self-inflicted 2 stun. So Barbara is seeing off the second turn and she's being very brave. She was round there. She walked round the building into base to base with both Raish and the unconscious Assassin. She arrested the Assassin as a special action, scored the final, I believe, get them off the streets. That's 9 points in total off those cards. That was very good. And then she attacked Raish. She just went for him and she efforted full 3 times. She was not fooling around. She's only attacked 4, but she has reinforced gloves, unlike the other Barbara Gordon, the one based on Arkham Knight. And she's got combo as well, so even though she's needing 5s to breach Raish's defense, she did pretty well. She got 2 standard hits through and a crit on the strength die. Rather than take those, Raish was like, nah, that's fine. And the poor thug over here with bodyguard efforted once and then took 6 stun damage, so he took 7 in total to the face. Didn't bother putting it on the table. He is very unconscious. And with that, we're into the scoring in phase 4 for battle round 2. So at the end of battle round 2, Barbara passed her poison roll this time, so she's hanging in there barely. We lost Damien, of course. Ubu has woken up. The assassin next to him, to the left of the building round that side, is still unconscious. Thug 6, who just got clobbered taking hits for Raish, actually did wake up as well. However, one correction, Barbara couldn't have efforted 3 times because of her blood damage. She should only have been able to effort twice. Can't really tell how that would have influenced the roll at this point, so we're not going back, but it was spotted. In terms of new cards being played, Eradicate the Order came out of hand again, because there's more friendly suspect markers for the League than there is any for the Bat family, so that's 3 points right there. For the cards in play for we have Iwar Best Alone to deal with, and also multiple threats. Blue die for League of Assassins, 2 or 3, nope, and a 3. Oh, well, 2 5s. Well, neither of those score. Multiple threats gets discarded, but Our Best Alone stays in play, and Unveiling the Truth, still no progress towards that. One of these days, there will be a way for that card to work well for this table. So, top of the penultimate round, phase 1, phase 2, we can cover. The League of Assassins are taking first activation this turn, and they still have numbers advantage on the Bat family, but not by as much as when the match started, let's put it that way. They are putting one phase 1 card into place. The only one of them that is doing any cards in phase 1 or phase 2. Finally drawn a From the Shadows. Phase 1, till the end of the turn, target an enemy model. If that model is the first model you remove as a casualty, score this card. It's obviously being played on Barbara Gordon because her days are numbered, probably, with the League going first. Nothing else to cover except who has Audacity, which is not on the table yet, although with how many people are left, I think it's literally just everyone. Hang on a second. Yep, not counting the unconscious assassin, it's literally everyone else left on the table, for a piece. They all have Audacity. So with that, battle round 3, League going first. So perhaps unsurprisingly, it was Raish who got the turn started. He used Critical Strike again, although this time it didn't proc, but he did use that as a special action, didn't bother moving. He used his Double Blood Scimitar on poor Barbara, who did effort twice. That's how much she could effort. He efforted a full 3 times. 3 hits got through for 6 blood, which even if she wasn't wounded would have taken her out because she has 6 endurance, so would have one-shot her. She did okay for what she did. She scored points, that's all that matters. So that does score the From the Shadows that was put in play in phase 1, obviously. During Raish's turn, however, he put into play a We Cannot Be Defeated, have at least 3 friendly suspect markers in the play area that's within 6. Currently there are exactly that many. Obviously there's opportunities to put more down to make it even more possible. It doesn't score till the end of the turn though, so there is a chance to interfere and stop it, like Alfred could potentially do it. He also played as a resource, They Must Know Pain, to heal himself for 2 of that 3 stun he just gave himself. And remember, he's had the Lazarus Pit upgrade bot, so he had regeneration, so he healed 2 stun at the top of the turn, not 1. Nightwing decided it was time to go after Raish for what he did to Barbara. He charged in. He did originally want to use Always on the Move to run in, hit Raish, back off, use Vigilante's work to remove a suspect marker to stop the chances of We Cannot Be Defeated scoring. But he ended up using his special action, so presumably you're not allowed to do that because Always on the Move just says you can stop a move to do an attack. It doesn't say you can do a special action. So presumably that's correct. So he efforted a full 3 times against Raish, needing obviously 5s to break his defense. With mechanical and handy on his and combo on his sticks. All said and done, he got 3 hits through for 6 stun, obviously, because they do 2 each. With the 2 stun on Raish, all said and done after Barbara was done and whatnot, and him healing, etc. That is actually enough to knock him out because he has 8 willpower. So Nightwing is using his arrest to remove Raish, which means that Precise Orders kicks in, and Ubu is immediately the new leader with the normal range and Spire. But he has Immortal, so wouldn't be able to score like get them off the streets off of that or anything. But Raish going like that, after murdering 2 people, to be fair, is pretty good. And for doing just the damage alone, Seeking Revenge got scored for 3. The Jason Todd card inflict at least 3 hits with a weapon that inflicts stun damage against the enemy model with the highest rep. Unless it's Joker, in which case it has to be Joker. So yeah, that has scored for 3. Upon Raish being removed, another We Cannot Be Defeated is coming at the hand, but this one's being spent as a free resource. But a friendly model is removed as a casualty. Place a friendly suspect marker in contact with them before removing the model, ignoring the minimum distance between suspect markers. In other words, making it easier to score the card of this kind that's in play already. So where Raish was, there is now a 4th suspect marker. Well, the new boss of the crew, following his boss's precise orders, Ubu stood up, suffered impaired movement, and went after Red Hood. Didn't quite get into base to base with him, however, has reach on his gigantic sword and struck at him. Only the strength that I got through, but obviously, when you only have 1 health left, 2 damage is enough, so that is Red Hood out of there as well. The Bat Family crew is down to just Nightwing and Alfred. Not related to doing that, for his turn, he put into play another multiple threats, and instead of putting down counters just to get it on camera, 1, 2, 3, 4, in terms of which suspect marker is which number. So Alfred activated, and he moved forwards his 8 inches into base to base with the suspect marker that had been there and removed it. I just realised it looks like he's firing an arrow directly into Alfred's head. It would just ricochet off his bald head, it's fine. Anyway, in removing that suspect marker, it was within 8 of the enemy deployment, so he has managed to score a confusion card for 2. But that's their turn 3 done, which means that Thug 6, who obviously needs to stand up, so he won't be doing much, that League Acolyte and the other League Acolyte all get to activate now. So League Acolyte 1 activated, the only one of them who has Audacity. Oh no, that's not true, the other League Acolyte does. Either way though, he dashed forwards 10 inches and has put down a suspect marker close to the only Bat Family suspect marker on the table, and in doing so has scored under their noses, which finally came out of the deck. Friendly model places a suspect marker within 4 inches of an enemy one. Done and done. So Thug 6 stood up with impaired movement and just walked into base to base with Nightwing. The other League Acolyte, the one with the bow, which is number 4, because the other one was 3 that had the bow and the falcon, he shot the last of his standard arrows into Nightwing, who decided not to dodge this time because his stun damage is getting a little high. It might have been a mistake because both got through for a total of 4 blood. He also made use of good aim, forgot to mention that as a special action, which means he's allowed to move afterwards even though it's an aim weapon, and he ran up the street there for potential last turn plays. So that does take us to scoring for the penultimate round. So here's how things stand at the end of the penultimate turn. The Assassin did not wake up. He's really good at rolling 10 pluses. So he is done for the game, essentially. But we have some scoring to check, even though there is no additional card being played. So for the league, 1, 2, or a 3 will equal a card score. It did score, so they are scoring their multiple threats for 3, and just for having those 3 suspect markers there, thanks to Raish's demise, that We Cannot Be Defeated that was put into play. Apologies, that's very shiny. There we go. Is also scored. Now a 3 will score for the Batman crew. That would be a 6. So no. It stays in play though. Alfred might have a chance to make that better in the final turn. Final turn's going to be real quick. Let's see what happens. Dawn of the final day, the start of the final turn, and what ended up being quite a bloody match overall. Well, if you count the arrests as casualties in that regard, I suppose. There's one phase 1 card being put into play for the final turn. It's another From the Shadows, and there is literally no way to kill Alfred in this turn because there's not enough friendly suspect markers on the table. So of course it is being played on Nightwing, who is a little worse for wear after taking those 2 arrows to the face. He's got 3 health left. No other cards being put into play though, so everyone who is alive on the table, except the unconscious Assassin, has Audacity. I'm sure it'll be real quick. Oh, and it is the Bat Family who is going first, and I think Nightwing is just going to get out of dodge. Well, Nightwing did indeed flee the scene to get the turn started. He also made use of his back claw to give him like 18 inches, 17, 18 inches to play with, but he made use of his always on the move to stop, just to say hello to the league acolyte here with the ball that got him last turn, smacked him upside the head. Didn't do as much as he's been doing, to be fair, but enough, because this is a 5 willpower mini, that 6 was enough to knock him out. And then he kept on doing his movement all the way over here around the corner, and for what he did to that henchman, one last minute score of an I'm feeling weird for 2 points. Well, even with Nightwing going for a jaunt to the other end of the table, the league still has ways to score, and I think every point makes a difference. So the other league acolyte, the one down here with the sword, the jumping one, he went to the far side of the same suspect marker he was playing with last turn and put down another suspect marker to score another under their noses in the exact same way he did the turn before, so he's doing work. Well, the Bat Family's game ends with Alfred. He came over here and he made use of that league acolyte to put down a suspect marker in the light of that lamp there, and scored another Black Ops because that league acolyte can't see him or the suspect marker. That also means he gets to put another number on I Were Best Alone to potentially score when the game's done. He's putting a 5 on it because the rolls have been high. And there's still ways for the league to score. Thug 6 activated, moved down here, put down a suspect marker. He had audacity right next to the one Alfred just put down, which meets the criteria for the final under their noses, which was also in hand. So it has scored as well. And it's just sticking with the league now because the Bat Family is done. So there is only one more thing that can be done by the league. Ubu would activate, move up to the gap there, put down a suspect marker, and put into play during his turn the final, I believe, multiple threats. There are 6 friendly suspect markers on the table, so there's no way it can't score. So we're just ending the game now, counting this as scored. I think there might be a phase 4 and we have to roll as well. So we are still going to do an end phase. We're not going to go immediately to scoring, but I'm just saying that has scored. So, end of turn 4, we have some things to cover as stated. From the Shadows on Nightwing. Does not score. Nightwing lived. The league, though, does score their final, I believe, Eradicate the Order, for having more suspect markers. Obviously, it's like 6 playing 2, so that's scored for 3. But now we need to see if Alfred's last minute play was also a double score. If this is a 3 or a 5, he scores 2 more points. It was a 1. So sadly, the I Were Best Alone gone, and the Unveiling the Truth that definitely should not have been played on Nightwing with how he ended up acting. Although to be fair, he did try and reveal 2 suspect markers. I think he might have actually succeeded at one point, but there was no way he was going to keep up with how many suspect markers the league were putting down. So yeah, that didn't score either. Let's go see who's actually won. So I'm kind of excited to see how this one ended up, because the Bat Family definitely pulled ahead early, but late game they were just dying off, and I think the league came back quite strong, especially with their 3-pointers. But let's see. So we'll start with the Bat Family crewish. It's a little weird having a Soldiers of Fortune card first, but hey, that's how teams work. So 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 26, 28. Not as high as I thought, actually. 28. Okay. 28 plays. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. The league has won by a single point. Oh, was there anything that... Oh, yeah. If the I Were Best Alone had scored, the Bat Family would have won. Oh, it would have happened right there. How many more? Let's do 5. So far, it's only 1 in 5. I'm really good at rolling 4s, apparently. Stop rolling 4s. Okay, 4s and 1s, I'm really good at rolling. So if that I Were Best Alone had scored, the Bat Family would have won by a point, because it's worth 2, I believe. But as it stands, the league take it. That was good. I've been wanting to try that Bat Family list for quite some time, because I feel like it can be really effective. Not so much against lots of blood damage or lots and lots of guns, I would say, especially because Batgirl is not an acrobat. Maybe drop her for... Is Red Robin an acrobat? If he's an acrobat, I think he might fill much this of a similar role. She's really good with reinforced combo gloves, though. I don't know. It's just her weakness is definitely the lack of acrobat, because guns would just eat her alive. But either way, yeah, that's a Bat Family list I've been wanting to see for a while. The changes to Raish and Ubu, I don't know. We didn't get the chance really to try out Raish's new skill of forcing a teammate to teleport to a suspect marker, especially because it would remove the suspect marker, and their cards are so dependent on staying ahead. suspect marker wise. Could have tactically tried to remove one to stop it being removed by the enemy, I suppose, because that would have let their version of stick to the plan score. I've forgotten what offhand what it's called. The one where you've got to put down a suspect marker in your turn and have none of your own revealed. That was hard to keep up with. But yeah, good match. So there'll be a new table layout next time, as much as this one's fun. Some new crews to try out as well, I'm sure, but we'll see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. If you watched to the end, please do consider supporting the channel in additional ways if you can. Memberships are enabled. They give you like little cool badges next to your name and stuff, and helps keep the lights on, which is greatly appreciated. Until next time, ta-ta for now.